All right. Well, hello everyone again, and welcome to AmeriCorps VISTA and the first day of your orientation. This is launching your VISTA service. My name again is Calvin Landrum, and I'm joined by
Jessica Birch.
Yes, hello Jessica. Thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you, Calvin. It's good to be here.
Good. Well, we are going to be your hosts today from VISTA headquarters in Washington, D.C. You're also going to see our colleagues Joanne Lau and Scott Weinrobe in the chat and Q&A, so they'll also be answering questions. So if you get an answer from one of those two people, you can trust them.
That's right. And I also do want to point out that our colleague Eric Powell is also on the phone. Eric Smiley Face Powell, he is known in the chat. He will answer your questions as well.
Perfect.
So now that you know a little bit about us, about where we're at, we want to see where you're serving. So we have this cool little feature here on WebEx. If you're unable to use the annotation tool, you can write your city and state in the chat panel. But for those of you that can access the annotation tools, go to the left-hand corner. You'll see a thing that looks like a little marker. David's got it. Find your name or find the arrow and then type where you're at. With all the people attending on this webinar, it's a great way for you to start seeing who else is in your area, who's near you, who maybe is from, a town that you're from, who serving in the ocean. Monica's there right in the ocean near California. That's pretty cool. It could be like Catalina Island.
I bet that's Los Angeles.
Probably. So take a look. Like I said, if you don't have access to the annotation tools, type your city and state into the chat panel. We have Madison here. So she said she's from Dothan, Alabama. I sure as heck hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I think you are. I've had members from Dothan before.
Oh, wonderful.
Ann Arbor. I'm seeing Austin, Texas. Go Texas. I'm from Texas. I am a Texan, and I love it so much, and I miss it all the time. Oh, this is cool. We've got some people who actually just typed their name on the map. I've never seen that before, but way to go, Catherine. Let's see. Ann Ladd. I can't tell. Ann, you might be also in D.C. I can't tell. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe you clicked on the right place and I clicked on the wrong place.
But there's I've never seen it like this kind of spread out. Usually it's like all clustered in all in the Atlantic or all in the Pacific. There's a lot of people like random, not random, but all over the place.
There are. And we've got a couple other annotation activities during today's presentation. So please, if you are able to, go ahead and get familiar with that tool real quick. Again, it's at the top left. It's a little marker, and it's an arrow. Put yourself on there so you can participate as we go through later on. Wonderful. So look at that. We've got folks from all over the United States joining us today. We have joining us 95 VISTAs today starting service. Let's see, Emma says, we are all here in Austin. Hello, Emma and Jason and Dennis. Oh, look, Lubbock, El Paso, and San Antonio. Some of my favorite places in Texas. I especially love El Paso. Went to school out in West Texas, so it's got a piece of my heart. All right, cool. Well, wonderful. Thanks, everyone. This is really great. Hey, Cameron McNeil in Virginia, I believe. All right, so this is great. Thanks, everyone, for putting your location on the map. Gives us a good sense of who exactly is here with us today. This is really cool. So let's talk about some session objectives today and what we are going to be doing. So today we're going to describe VISTA's mission in the program, review a few of VISTA's recent accomplishments, identify support people and resources, highlight action items that need your attention, and lastly, administer the oath of service. There was a lot of questions in the chat of like, oh, what form do we need? Who do I need to write on this form? What's happening with this oath form that I'm hearing about? Don't worry, we will get to it near the end of this presentation. So we promise that we're not going to leave you out in the dark. So just stick with us, and all of your questions around the oath will be answered near the end of this presentation. Paul says, I couldn't post on the map. I'm in Plattsburgh. Well, Paul, welcome. We're glad you are here. All right. So, Jessica, you want to start us off?
I would love to, Calvin. So we've said it. I don't know if we've actually said it. We've talked to you a lot about VISTA, so I want to take a chance, and I think I'm going to speak on behalf of Calvin as well. Welcome. Welcome to AmeriCorps VISTA. You are about to join. You're joining right now a national movement with a very rich history. Right now there are about 93, I think, of you, Calvin said, on this webinar. And this month, about 170 VISTA members are coming aboard. This year, about 5,000 VISTA members are going to be serving, not only in cities, but also in rural areas, in all 50 states, in territories, in tribal nations. So welcome. You're part of a great community of VISTA members all over the country. So VISTA, or Volunteers in Service to America, has been supporting and really, if not leading, the charge towards economic equality for more than 50 years. And our strength comes from the talent and the motivation of our VISTA members, which is soon to be you. It's today, your first day of service. So let me thank you. Calvin wants to thank you as well. I'm speaking for him. I know I'm doing a great impression, but we want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're about to do, for the commitment that you're making for this year. It's an honor for me to welcome you on behalf of AmeriCorps VISTA. As Calvin mentioned in the last webinar, I served as an AmeriCorps VISTA. Eric, who's here, served as an AmeriCorps VISTA. Calvin was an NCCC member. So this is really, it touches our heart as well. So welcome. And as we're getting to know one another, we're going to take a few moments to look at some of our milestones in history. So Calvin, let's talk about VISTA in its infancy.
For sure. So the VISTA program was born out of the civil rights movement and the war on poverty in the mid-60s, and social equity and economic opportunity really remains the mission of the VISTA program. Our first volunteers were assigned in 1965 to Appalachia, Hartford, and the camps of migrant farm workers out in California. And President Johnson, who you can see in this photo, said to those first VISTAs, "The initials of your organization spell VISTA. It's an appropriate name, for you'll be opening up new vistas of hope for the poor, achievement for yourself, and greatness for our nation."
So then we're going to fast forward. We're going fast forward quick about 30 years to 1993, and AmeriCorps, or VISTA, joins the larger family of AmeriCorps, becoming a part of a network of national service programs under the Corporation for National and Community Service, or CNCS. You may have heard of some of our grantees and partners, such as Habitat for Humanity, City Year, Teach for America, as well as the Rockefeller Foundation and Service Year. That's in addition to the programs that we manage directly, such as AmeriCorps NCCC, FEMA Corps, and Senior Corps, which is in addition to the AmeriCorps VISTA program. So you're joining the ranks of over 220,000 VISTAs that have served. And we want to name just a few. There's some pretty cool people who have been VISTAs, not just myself, even though I'm pretty cool. We have George R.R. Martin, who is the author, I should say, not an author, of Game of Thrones. He served as a VISTA.
I'm ready for Game of Thrones to come back. I just have to say I'm very
We also have Senator Jay Rockefeller of West Virginia. We have Ray Magliacci, who you may know from Click and Clack of Car Talk, and Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin. Those are just to name a few. Pretty cool.
Just a few. Yeah, that is really cool. And so we just learned, and we know, that the VISTA program is committed to economic equity. But if someone were to ask you what is VISTA's mission, I'm curious about how everyone would explain it. What makes VISTA unique in the government? So this is our elevator speech. The VISTA program strengthens organizations that alleviate poverty through the mobilization of volunteers and resources. And that is a mouthful, but you do it a couple times and you really get it down. And in addition to our mission, there are 4 principles that really underpin the program. So one of them being, the first is ending poverty. Now, every VISTA project and every VISTA member aims to end or alleviate poverty one person, one family, or one block at a time. Second is empowering communities. In contrast to parachuting in and just doing good things for people, which is good in its own right, but VISTA members live among and involve community members in planning and carrying out their projects. This is often facilitated by your sponsor, but strengthening and improving the community is our long-term goal. And we do that through learning about values and beliefs, assumptions, community development principles, and other principles of good practice. The third principle of VISTA is creating sustainable solutions. Now, whatever you develop or create, that could be a process, a system, or resources, try to develop them in such a way that people will be able to use and reproduce them once you're gone. And our fourth principle is building capacity, and this is a big one. All VISTA members should aim to either increase the size of their project, increase the number of people served by their project, improve the project's efficiency, or improve the project's impact on the community. And that is really, that's how we measure capacity. So let's take a moment to go over capacity building and what that looks like. Now, if you remember, way back when you were enrolled into this PSO, in the VISTA mission and program goals tutorial that you went through, you learned that the work that you should be doing on your project needs to be focused on, again, building the capacity of your organization as opposed to doing that direct service. Now, this is a unique aspect of the VISTA program as it relates, especially to all of the other AmeriCorps programs. For example, if you are an NCCC alum, shout it out in the chat if we have any NCCC alum. You're doing a lot of direct service. You're out, you're hiking, you're trail building, you are the person tutoring children. You're doing all kinds of stuff like that. But VISTA, the focus needs to be on capacity building. And again, and quickly, in essence, it's really just about helping your organization do more with what they have in order to serve more people and operate more efficiently. Whereas direct service is about serving the community in more like, physical or tangible ways. Christopher Coyle, NCCC alum, shout out, I love that. Thanks for playing along. So what we're going to do is play a quick round of this or that to explore the difference between capacity building and direct service. I'm going to read a service activity, just like what we did earlier, learning about where you're serving. Use the arrow from the annotation toolbar to indicate whether you believe the activity is capacity building or direct service. So again, you're going to use that arrow to click on capacity building or direct service based on what you think. And again, as a reminder, to activate that arrow, click on the marker icon in the upper left corner of the screen. So let's get started. First up, recruiting volunteers to build houses. What do we think? Are we thinking that's capacity building or is that direct service? So let's see. We've got we have a lot of folks saying that that is capacity building.
I want to say, do what your heart tells you. Don't fall into peer pressure. Yeah. Do you think that's direct service? You put your jam there. Yeah, you go. Go, William and Alicia.
Alicia Carriott. All right. So let's see. What is the answer? Dun, dun, dun. The answer is capacity building. You're correct. That is capacity building, recruiting volunteers to build houses. You're building the resources of your organization. You are not directly involved with building that house. You're not holding the hammer. You're getting the people to hold that hammer. All right, Jessica, you want to give us our next one?
I would love to. So next one is capacity building or direct service, delivering Meals on Wheels. All right, direct service is leading out of the gate.
Leading out of the gate. Wow, we got a lot of folks that say that's direct service. And you know what? I bet they're right. What do you think?
Let's see. I mean, I'm always for the underdog. I feel like capacity building is the underdog in this one. So let's see what the answer is. All right, good job. You're right. Direct service, delivering Meals on Wheels. So you're doing the activity. You are the one who's delivering those meals. You're not increasing the capacity of the organization. So if you were to leave, then that means that you couldn't, that wouldn't be sustained without you being there. So that is direct service.
That's really good. That's a really good way to put that. If you remove yourself from this activity, can that activity still happen? The answer is no, not in that case. And again, yeah, it's that direct service component. All right, so we have another one. The next one is teaching a financial literacy course. What do we think? Capacity building or direct service? This is an interesting one. Maybe a little tricky, but let's see. We've got a lot of folks that say it's direct service. Let's see, Ashley Sparks says it's capacity building. Aaron says it's capacity building. Amanda, all right. So Paul Ritchie, is this your final choice?
I just love when they're right on the line. They're like,
right
I'm going to be like, I'm half in, half out.
Non-committal. Let's see. Emma Brunfield says we're going with in between. All right, let's see what the answer is. It is direct service, yeah. Teaching a financial literacy course is direct service. So this is one that we wanted to include because I wanted to show you kind of how fine the line can be, between direct service and capacity building. So teaching the financial literacy course is the direct service, but the indirect service of this, or the capacity building portion, is maybe writing the curriculum for the financial literacy course. You're writing the curriculum so that this can be reproduced. You're able to spread that around. Maybe you are creating the materials for the financial literacy course. Maybe you are, finding money, so that you can have a space to teach a financial literacy course. But that's where the capacity building comes in, but the direct service comes in and actually teaching. Okay, so I think we've got a couple more.
All right, so this next one, organizing a fundraiser. Is that capacity building or is that direct service?
Eric Powell says, do what your heart tells you. Wise words from Jessica Birch. Agreed. Oh, wow, there's a lot of capacity building.
I just love that Gary was like, I'm just gonna block out the word capacity and just leave building there. Gary Bradley building, I dig it. Now Jay's doing it too. All right, we got Alyssa, Emma, and Cortez kind of on that line. So let's go ahead and see what the answer is. Yes, it's capacity building. Good job. So this is capacity building. You mostly got it right, which is wonderful. This is allowing you to, increase your organization's reach. So if you're helping to organize a fundraiser, maybe that's going to get in-kind donations or monetary donations that your organization desperately needs. So that's really helping build the capacity to serve more people in the community and maybe for that organization. So definitely a capacity building activity.
Awesome.
Calvin, you want to kick us off with our last one?
Yeah, we've got one more. All right. This is a fun game. I really like this. I wish there was a way to keep score so we could, have like a leaderboard. The next one is setting up partnerships in the community. What are we thinking, capacity building or direct service?
I think the direct service column doesn't work. Yeah, so we have one person in direct service. Okay, they went away. So capacity building is leading. Wonderful. All right.
So let's take a look and see what the answer is. Setting up partnerships in the community. What do we got? Yep. Everyone is right, because that is capacity building. Setting up those partnerships, helps to expand the reach of your organization, helps them, do more with less. Maybe your organization, as a result of your partnership building, they don't need to rent a space anymore because they've got a community partner who has a space that they'll let them use. It's things like that, no matter how big, no matter how small. Those are the capacity building aspects of your VISTA service, and that's what really gets at the heart of your service. So if you believe that we have a responsibility to bring an end to poverty, which I believe you all do, everyone's here, and if you're committed to working with communities, to build their capacity and organizations to do that, then you are in the right place.
And as Calvin mentioned, those 4 principles are what's going to guide you in your community development. So community work requires coordination and even collaboration and working together towards long-range goals. And so as you think about the principles that we just covered, ending poverty, empowering communities, building capacity, and creating sustainable solutions, you should just let us know. Let us know in the chat what resonates with you and why. Maybe it's ending poverty. In the chat, a lot of you said that you wanted to join VISTA. You did your VISTA position because you wanted to end poverty in your community, and that was really something that was a motivator for you. Maybe it's empowering communities. Maybe you want to work with community stakeholders to identify the needs of the community and put those needs into action. Also, building capacity, we just went over that cool activity that Calvin just did there. It's at the heart of, maybe that's what you're meant to do. Maybe you see a project and say, I know how this can run better. And then last but not least, maybe you want to create some sustainable solutions. Maybe you have an eye for processes, developing things that can last way past your time as a VISTA. So Calvin, what do we have coming in on the chat?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of sustainable solutions. We've got some empowering community. Dennis Avias says, empowering communities, creating sustainable solutions because we want long-term progress, not just what we do this year. Honestly, and that's a really great sentiment, and that is the way, that's how you should be thinking about your service is, what can I build now that is going to live beyond my service year? Lots and lots of empowering communities. I like that. I think that is also, it's really interesting to me, after doing this so much and seeing how, based on a number of factors, how this changes from from induction to induction, how this changes. Sometimes we get a lot of folks who just are straight up ending poverty, and that's what they want to do. Sometimes we get lots of people who want to build capacity, but I'm seeing a lot of empowering communities here. So truly,
yeah, no matter which one. There's no right answer here. Whatever is going to motivate you, if they all motivate you, if one just really struck you, your work as a VISTA member will address all of these during your year. And progress in this type of work, it can be slow and incremental, and it's important to know that our work isn't just about fixing stuff. Kind of like how Calvin said earlier, like we don't just parachute in, solve a problem, and then parachute back out, which would be weird to parachute back out, but I think you know what I mean. It's about sharing your perspectives and your skills with the community. They identified a need, and that's why you're there. And it's imperative that you work with that community to ensure that their needs get met. So the results of your work may not be apparent immediately, and they're not going to happen overnight, which can be a little frustrating. I definitely, I love to vacuum because I see like the instant results, so that would be difficult for me. But once you step back, you're going to see the larger changes. So yeah, it's wonderful to see all of what is motivating you.
Yeah, and this is a really great segue into our next section. So let's focus now on your assignment, and the best way to do that is through reviewing your assignment description or your VAD. So hopefully everyone has heard, heard the word VAD or VISTA assignment description, and you sort of know what that is. So all of VADs include the following three elements. So first, they include a project goal. Now this is related or identical to the goal of your project. They also contain an objective, which describes what you will achieve by the end of your service year. The objectives are really a bridge between the project goal and your activities, which the member activities specify exactly what you will be doing this year. So you can see the little box around member activities. Those activities add up to the objective, which add up to the goal. It's kind of like a pyramid. Now, each one of you has your own VAD, and no matter how many of you may be serving or have served the same project, each one of you should have your own VAD. So for like you three folks in Texas, you should all have a VAD. Yeah. So, because your VAD, is the work plan for your year, we strongly recommend that you focus on this with your supervisor over the next few weeks, and that you refer to it, back throughout your year, that you keep coming back to this because it really should be the guiding post for your service. There's a worksheet that's available to you on the Starting VISTA page with the coursework that can help you work out the VADs, like various elements. It includes you and your supervisor discussing your tasks step by step so that you are fully aware that, hey, this is what I signed up for. This is exactly what I want to be doing, and I have the skill set to do this, or I have the want to learn the skill set, to be able to do this. So make sure that you download that worksheet and be prepared to discuss your assignment description with your supervisor soon, preferably during, the next couple of weeks. Set up a meeting with them right away if you haven't already. And again, this is like the best place to start a conversation about your service year.
So I want to ask a pretty broad question here, and I know it's your first day, so I'm giving you tough questions right away. So the impact you make this year depends on you, and it depends on your community and your VISTA project, and sometimes on a little bit of good luck. So when you take a look at your VAD, or just from what you remember if you don't have it in front of you, what exactly is your job as a VISTA member? What are you going to be doing as a VISTA member? Are you going to be recruiting volunteers? Are you going to be doing grant writing? If you had to describe what you're going to be doing, what would you say? Paul said a rad VAD. I don't know what that is. I like it, though.
I hope you do have a rad VAD, Paul.
True. Not a bad VAD.
Not a bad VAD. You don't want a bad VAD. Take that VAD from bad to rad. Oh, that's a good webinar topic that we can have.
I like it. I would do some like 80s design on it.
So we got a couple answers coming in. Alex says engagement strategies. Alyssa, my job is to support VISTA members in their service in the Economic Mobility Project. Cool. I'm seeing some grant writing, recruit volunteers, program evaluation.
Jocelyn here is doing community outreach and a marketing specialist.
Hashim says, a new American Welcome Center for the YMCA. Also welcome, Hashim. I'm glad you made it. Grant writing for disaster management. Wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder if they're going to be working with like the VOADs and like FEMA and all that good stuff. Lots of grant writing. Okay.
Program evaluation for holistic defense programs, outreach, education, and volunteer recruitment, and then fundraising. I said it like that because there's an exclamation point after.
So fundraising. Each one. Teach one, adult literacy, event and volunteer coordinator. Man, like this is one of those times when I get like really like emotional because I'm like our members are doing so many cool things, and all of like I wish you all could hear from everyone at headquarters who is so in awe and so inspired by all of you all the time. Just this list, between these 95, people that are starting, we've got people, who are, really out there trying to do things like, they're writing grants and reaching out to the community, getting volunteers to help their organizations is truly inspiring. And if throughout your year you think no one is watching you or cares about what you're doing, you have an entire staff of folks who care very, very much about the work that you're doing.
That's true. That's one of the cool things about VISTA, too. It's like a lot of us were alums, so it's a wonderful thing to see what cool things you're doing.
Sure.
So, Calvin, now here's this next question.
So the next question, so we want to take this a step deeper, and we want to ask you, so what? So what? Everyone's saying that they're doing these great things. They're writing grants, or recruiting volunteers, or coordinating resources. But so what? So what if you're doing all of this? What does that matter? So let's take this one step further and think about the impact that you're actually going to be making this year. It depends on you. It depends on your VISTA project, and a lot of times it really does just come down to luck. So think about the so what when you're answering this next question. What impact do you hope to make as a VISTA member? And by impact, what we mean is what's going to be the end result, rather than like what your activities look like. So yeah, you're writing grants, which is great and excellent, but so what? What does that accomplish for your organization, for your community? What happens as a consequence of your success? So think about these overarching goals that your service is working towards as you go into your year. So let's see. And we can wait a minute while people are thinking and typing. But this is where I think this is the meat of your VISTA service. This is where your motivation comes from, and hopefully your inspiration comes from. In those moments when it's really difficult and you don't want to go into your office and you're tired of writing grants or reviewing this grant or doing this application that you've had to revise over and over again, when you don't want to do it, what is going to keep you going? What's the outcome? And we've got simply leave it better than when I started. More people engage, more resources, a greater community voice. Since the seniors will have house repairs and assistance with food scarcity. That's wonderful.
I like this one. Monica said, I hope that youth get empowered in the original meaning, which is that youth have more agency and control of the resources to shape their community and environment so they have a better future. Agreed.
And I can tell you that's been one of the most inspirational things I've seen over the past year. I really love, we're young people, but I love people who are younger than me. I'm very inspired by all of our folks in high school and coming up through college right now who are so active. And I really hope that you are able, to amplify that message that you have the power to change things that you want to change. We've been seeing that a lot lately. Eric says, reduce deaths from opioid misuse and abuse in LA County. We have a lot of opioid projects this year. We have a very large network of VISTA members, focused on the opioid epidemic. And actually, AmeriCorps VISTA was one of the first federal programs to actually, have programming and do things around the opioid crisis. So thanks for that.
We're number one. We're number one.
We're number one. There's so many coming in. I want to take just a second to read these out because I think this is why we're all here. This is what we're supposed to be doing. I got partnerships between nonprofits and public defenders will improve, and people will access needed services. I really like that.
Cortez here says, take a huge step towards eliminating racial disparities among the local minority-owned businesses and help benefit the neighborhood associations.
Love that. Gary, if I succeed in my services, my community will have a platform to be able to know about the community, about the importance and resources of the community. So really, I guess it sounds like an amplified voice of what's available to people, Let's talk to a neighbor and say, hey, what resources are available for us here?
Perry here says, seniors will have house repairs and assistance with food scarcity. Those just touches my heart. My grandfather, when he was, right before he passed away, he got Meals on Wheels, and that was really that kept him going. I mean, it was just I think that's wonderful. So thank you, Perry.
That's wonderful. I like this, Joanna. There are 500 nonprofits in the 2 counties we're serving. My success would be to find them volunteers that fit their needs. Also, help build my site funds so my position continues after my service, whether it be me or someone else interested in helping their community. Enjoy the connections I make and hope that our efforts make a difference for the VISTA program. And then education. Myra hitting us with the facts and the stats. In San Antonio, 1 in every 4 adults are illiterate. Bringing in more volunteers to be tutors to teach more adults to help obtain GEDs, better jobs, quality of life, which all in all, that is such a huge task that breaks up that cycle of poverty. Folks are able to get a GED, get a better job. Their children see that, reflected, and they, strive to be better than that and have more. And having, folks, that's great. That resonates with me. I really like that one. So this is all very wonderful, and this is the so what behind what you're doing this year. So really revel in that and really think about this, as you're going through, and when those times get hard and you're like, why am I doing this? Why did I sign up for this? Like, you're counting down the days. You're like, I've got 143 days left and I cannot wait. Really, truly step back and think about that so what, and think about the bigger picture of your VISTA service. Refer back to your VAD. Make sure that, your activities are in line with that. That you know what those activities are supposed to be that you're doing, and what do they add up to? What is that goal? So again, we said that the VAD accounts, so we're going to move on, but we said that the VAD accounts for your service during the year. So let's take a look at some of the things VISTA members have accomplished recently. Jess, you want to let us know what our VISTA members did in 2017?
I would love to, Calvin, because this first one is my most favorite. Okay. So VISTA members raised $206 million in cash and in-kind donations for their sponsoring organizations. That's more than twice what Congress has given AmeriCorps VISTA to run the entire program. So Congress gave 90-some-odd million. You were like, I'll double that. That's wonderful. It's amazing. You also recruited, trained, and assigned 800,000 community volunteers who collectively served more than 8 million hours. Calvin, what about that next one?
Let's see. The National Center for Children and Poverty estimates that 16 million children in the U.S., about 1 in 5, live below the poverty line. VISTA members made it possible for their sponsors to serve 3 million of those children in after-school programs, tutoring and assistance, and food security. Also, programs supported by the VISTA members served 140,000 veterans and military families. And in a single year, about 8,500 VISTA members built a capacity of more than 4,500 nonprofits and public agencies, about 70% of them in their own hometowns. And since 1965, more than 220,000 VISTAs have served. So you guys are joining a very large community. And again, these are just some of the impacts that VISTA members like you have made and will be making coming up. So before we move on, let's quickly review just like what we just covered. We looked briefly at how VISTA relates to other national service programs. We then dove into the VISTA mission and its key principles, discussed how they relate to your VISTA assignment description. We focused on that so what, on the bigger picture of your VAD. And finally, we shared with you some of those impacts that VISTA members have had in the past year. Now, we're going to shift gears into ongoing support during your VISTA service and talk about things that are going to be important to you coming up.
That's right. So when we talk about support, we have 2 main websites that are going to support you through your year of service. First is vistacampus.gov, and the other is myamericorps.gov. So vistacampus.gov is where you completed your onboarding courses and tutorials, but the campus has so much more than that. There are opportunities for ongoing learning and professional development that you can sign up for, courses, you can find other VISTA members and learn more about your benefits. MyAmeriCorps.gov is where you applied for your position and where you did your direct deposit and where you can access your VISTA assignment description. It's also where in a few weeks you'll be able to access your earning statements for your living allowance, put your loan in forbearance if you so choose, and print your service letter, which we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. So let's go and talk a little bit more about the VISTA campus because that is one of our most meaty sites. As I said, it's really meaty, and there's just too much to explore all of what it has to offer, but it does have important elements that will help you navigate your year of service, whether that's through building your skills or obtaining professional development opportunities or connecting with other VISTA members. So a quick look at the navigation bar on the screen lets you know there's materials to help you live as a VISTA and work as a VISTA. Here's just a snapshot of what the work section looks like. You can also locate and reach out, as I said, to other VISTA members under the Connect and Learn section, whether that's on forums or through our VISTA map. We also offer webinars on a range of topics related to life as a VISTA, such as living on the living allowance, and an awesome one that Calvin did last week. What was it called? Getting Outdoors with Your Education Award? Yeah. Yeah, so Calvin talked about some cool ways you can use your education award. And then we also have a series called The Work. So that has webinars around building a digital ad campaign or strategizing your funding search and other things related to what you're going to be doing as a VISTA. We do record all of our webinars and we post them on the VISTA campus. So if you're unable to join a live session, you can watch it at your leisure. You will receive an invitation to a webinar in the coming weeks called Learning Opportunities for Service and Beyond, which will help you develop a concrete plan for building your skills that you need to succeed this year and, as the webinar says, beyond. We also offer 2 longer courses to VISTA members, one on volunteer mobilization and one on resource development and grant writing. These are optional courses, and they combine live webinars, online discussion groups, readings, and assignments. They are free, and if you pass, you may be able to receive college credit recommendations. The next round of course offerings starts in the fall, so keep an eye out on this page, bookmark it somewhere so that you can apply once it's time.
Totally. So there's a few things for that, Jess. So there's a few key decisions and action items that you'll need to complete today and within the next 2 weeks. And the first set of items relate to your VISTA benefits. The information that you need to make an informed decision is located on the Benefits Hub. So if you're going to go back and review that for any questions that you might have. And it's also, one of the things that we link to on the Starting VISTA page. So first is your direct deposit. We just bring this up again because if you have any doubt that your bank accounts information is correct, make sure that your routing and your routing and account numbers are right. Like if you think that you might be mistaken, please go back and double check again. Otherwise, you will not be paid. Zip, zero zilch. You won't be paid at all, and it will take up to 2 weeks to receive those funds back, so you won't be paid until the next pay period. So I just say that because we don't want anyone to be without money or funds or anything, but just please double check your direct deposit information and make sure that it's correct. Second is your end of service award. The stipend, so do you choose between the stipend of $1,800 or the education award worth $5,920? Read through the end of service selection on the Benefits Hub and make sure that you have picked the right one for you. There are some stipulations that go with both of those, and you have to make a decision soon. Be aware that if you don't know which one you should choose or which one you want to choose, go ahead and pick the education award because you have 10 months from your start of service to change over to the stipend. If you select the stipend now, before we receive your, after we receive your oath, if you have the stipend selected, you can never change back to the education award. So if you don't know, go ahead and select the education award, go read up about it and make sure that it's what you want, but keep that in mind. And the third is healthcare. You'll either need to opt for the healthcare allowance of $7,350 or the healthcare benefit plan if you are exempt from having health insurance. Again, we're not going to go super deep into this because all of the information is at your fingertips. I'm actually going to post the VISTA resource and contact sheet in the chat so that you can take a look. Oh, someone already posted it. Oh, perfect. Oh, no, there it is. I got it. So you can take a look at that. The first one listed is healthcare, and it's got all the information that you need, who to contact for questions about your healthcare and all that good stuff. You won't be able to do that until about 2 weeks after your start of service. So in about 2 weeks, you're going to receive an email that says, hey, I see that you're a VISTA member. This is IMG, the healthcare provider. Please choose a benefit. So just wait until you get that before you make any choices, but it's never too early to start researching. So again, if you have additional questions about your benefits at any time during your service, you should first review the VISTA benefits section of the campus for your answer. You'll want to know the details about your health care and the service benefits, federal loan forbearance, child care, courses for credit, all that stuff. It's all there. Yeah, so again, go take a look at that. If all else fails, you are able to contact the VMSU. Their number is listed on the slide. It's 800-942-2677. That will take you to the National Service Hotline, which in turn will get you to the VISTA Member Support Unit. You can also go to questions.nationalservice.gov and submit a question.
All right, Calvin. So another action item that requires your immediate attention. If you haven't completed your onboarding paperwork in the portal, then you are on the verge of not entering VISTA service today. Especially if you haven't accepted the terms and conditions of service, then you're definitely not becoming a VISTA member today. So please make sure you have that done. If you ran into issues doing it, please contact the National Service Hotline. The number is in the chat. Scott posted it. They can help you with that. We want you to be able to serve, but we need to know that you understand what it means to be a VISTA member and all the terms and conditions that go along with it. Also, you want to set up a meeting with your supervisor. Make sure you do that. Set up a time with them. Talk about your VAT, as Calvin had talked about earlier. It's really going to be the best way for you to start out on a great foot with not only your supervisor but your VISTA service by sitting down, having a conversation to make sure both of you are on the same page about what this next year holds. And then last but not least is get fingerprinted. Do this as soon as possible. Your supervisor should have had a fingerprint kit for you. So if they didn't get that to you yet, after this webinar, go ahead and say, hey, can I have my fingerprint kit because I need to get this done. If they don't have it, they don't know where to get it, you need to contact your state office. Calvin's going to talk a little bit later about how to do that, about how to contact them, but state abbreviation at cns.gov. So remember, do your paperwork, get your VAD, and get your fingerprint kit and get fingerprinted as soon as possible. And so speaking of fingerprints, we mentioned this last week, so I just want to touch on this briefly. We need your fingerprints in order to run a background check, and we do this to protect the community members with which we serve and the volunteers we work with, and you yourself. So as I mentioned, you need to get fingerprinted. And then when you applied to your VISTA position, you also let us know if you had been convicted of a crime. You may not have disclosed everything. Maybe you thought we were just asking for 10 years back. Or maybe you said a DUI is a minor traffic violation and didn't think that it needed to be listed. Or maybe you were under the impression that something was expunged. If you fail to disclose any conviction in your My AmeriCorps application, you can fill out the criminal history questionnaire that is inside your fingerprint kit. You can send it in as instructed, and that is another way for you to disclose. When the FBI report comes back after we run your fingerprints, we're going to compare it to your disclosures in the application and on that questionnaire. If everything aligns, then you won't hear from us. I mean, we're great people, but you don't want to hear from us. If there is a conviction that you haven't disclosed for us or disclosed to us, it is grounds for dismissal, and we will have extensive follow-up. So please get your fingerprint kit. Disclose anything that you haven't disclosed already. Make it easier for you, make it easier for us so that you can get on with your service. So, I know I'm talking about fingerprints a lot because I love them. So, remember, get your fingerprint card today from your supervisor. It is your responsibility to get fingerprinted. You need to do that within 30 days of your start date. As Calvin mentioned last week in the webinar, everyone is given a $25 fingerprinting subsidy in their first living allowance payment to help offset the cost of that. So for some of you, it may be free to get your fingerprints done. Others, it may be $30. We just give everyone $25 directly. So please get fingerprinted as soon as possible. We have to have your fingerprints in our office no later than Wednesday, June 13th, which, fun fact, is Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen's birthday. Don't ask me how I know that. But do it. Submit them. We want to make sure that that we can have you serving. So Calvin, let's talk a little bit about who to contact again.
I'd love to, but first I'd really love to know how you know that. We can talk offline, but that is very funny.
I used to have a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen calendar, and it was their birthday.
And there you have it, folks. So this here is a graphic reminder of the list of resources that's on the Starting VISTA page in the coursework that you took earlier. If you search support, keep it where you find it. Now again, so this is, that's you, the VISTA. Your first level of support should be your supervisor or your VISTA leader. Next level of support is your state office, which is the CNC, which is your state abbreviation at cns.gov. Then you go to the VMSU or VISTA Campus, which has all of the information that you need to know. Amanda Jordan says, what's included in the fingerprint packet? 2 fingerprint cards, 1 disclosure form, instructions. So you'll be given a whole kit. All right, so Jessica, this is a really fun part, and I think everyone's going to appreciate this. Do you want to talk to these folks about all the cool stuff that they're going to receive?
I do, because as we said, VISTA is pretty awesome. You're part of a rich history. You're part of a giant family of VISTA members. We want you to feel like a community member, so we want you to show your VISTA pride. So first, we want you to put that AmeriCorps VISTA logo on your business card, in your email signature, and on your organization's website and brochures. The more visible you are, the more support you get, not only for your project and the AmeriCorps VISTA program as a whole, but just for the AmeriCorps program in general and for the work that you're doing. That means that a lot more people can be serving in communities doing the work that needs to get done. The web links that we're going to post in the chat will lead you to places that you can get AmeriCorps VISTA publications and gear to use in your office and represent VISTAs in the field. Please don't forget to take pictures and share them with us through Twitter and Facebook. We have around a quarterly newsletter, and we're always looking for great stories of the things that you're doing. So please post that. We may reach out to you. So this is the fun part. So you're going to receive an email next week with instructions on how to order your free. Calvin, what did I say? I said free. Did you hear that last time? Free.
I heard you. Yeah, free.
Free VISTA polo, VISTA lapel pin, VISTA tote bag, VISTA water bottle, and VISTA journal. You're going to get that email next week. Once we get all your paperwork done, once you get your oath turned in, which we're going to talk about here next. So you have to get everything turned in for you to get that email to get all that cool stuff. So Calvin is extremely jealous of all of you getting a cool water bottle. He desperately tries to steal a water bottle all the time from me. So pretty cool, Calvin.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I lose my water bottle a lot. I leave it on trains, planes, and automobiles. I just have to buy a new one, and it has an AmeriCorps sticker on it. So it's almost like the ones that you're going to get, but not as cool. But all right, so we're approaching the end of our webinar here, but this is the most important part, I believe, of the entire thing. This is where we swear you in. This is sort of the last step that you have to take as a VISTA member in order to enter service and in order for us to begin paying you, for us to begin giving you your benefits, all that good stuff. So if you haven't paid attention for the last 50 minutes, now is the time to perk those ears up and get this info, because this is a very crucial and important step in today. So you're ready to take the oath of service. To do this, you need the AmeriCorps VISTA oath form, which your supervisor should have given you. If you don't, we are going to post a link in the chat to where you can download it for yourself and print it out and all that good stuff. So remember that you also need another person in the room with you, someone to witness you signing the oath form. Be that your supervisor or coworker, someone should be there to witness you signing this form. Now, I have a few specific instructions for filling out the form, and while they may seem obvious, you'd really be surprised at some of the things that we receive because of just simple not paying attention. Failure to submit a correct oath according to these instructions will result in the delay of your becoming a VISTA member, and it will also delay you receiving your benefits, and no one wants that, so please pay close attention. All right, so let's talk about this form. So again, the form may seem obvious, but it has to be done correctly, so please follow along. In box 1, you're going to print your full legal name. This is what you use on your AmeriCorps application. This is what we have on record. In box 2, you're going to give the name of the organization that is sponsoring your VISTA project. And this is likely the organization where you're serving. So if you're Habitat for Humanity, that's pretty easy. Maybe you're working on for like an affiliate, put the name that you know your project to go by. In box 3, put the city and state where you're serving. So that's where's your office? Where are you going every day, to serve? That's a city and state. And in box 4, put today's date as a date entered on duty. This is your first day of service. It is May 14th, 2018. That's pretty cool. And then in box 5, the CNCS official who administered the oath to you, that's going to be me, Calvin Landrum. Again, like don't get this part wrong. You need this. Sometimes we've seen like random people that don't even work here in this box. People who, I don't know, celebrities probably. I don't know, but make sure that it says Calvin Landrum. It's me. I'm the one that's going to administer the oath to you. So,
and I recommend, like, just one other thing is, like, if you're scrambling because you don't have the oath form right now, get your phone. If you have a phone that has a camera on it, take a picture of the screen, and then you have it for later once this is over, because we're going to get to the fun stuff here. But if you don't have that form printed out and you're going to be having questions about what to put later, take a quick picture, and then you have it.
Excellent, excellent advice. This will be up for approximately 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. So now that the logistics are out of the way, and thank you, Eric, for putting these instructions into the chat also. So now that we're gone, you can see them in the chat also. So let's consider the oath that you're about to take, because it shouldn't be taken lightly. This is the same oath that's taken by all federal employees, up to and including the Vice President. The President's oath is a little bit different. Jessica and I took this oath of service. Eric has taken this oath of service. And it includes the phrase, to defend the Constitution of the United States. Now, defend, it's not necessarily a call to arms. For some, in some positions, it may be, but for most of us, defense of the Constitution may be just the opposite of using arms. The Constitution is not an administration, it's not a flag, rather it embodies the principles that elevate us from a loosely organized group of people on the North American continent to a civil society. And we're pledging to defend the document that contains our civil rights against all enemies. So against all enemies. Let's consider, let us all, as community builders and change agents, and simply as citizens, choose our enemies very carefully. More often, the enemy is a reflection of ourselves in bad light. Build bridges before you make enemies, and we will all profit. And in the context of VISTA, of course, the enemy is what? Poverty. Okay, 2 more things about the oath. First, you may replace the word swear with the word affirm if you so choose. And you may also omit the phrase, so help me God, if you don't ascribe to any particular religion. I do want to recognize that since we're all in different locations around the country, scattered in so many sites in so many states, as you saw on that map earlier, we don't really have the benefit of hearing each other's voices as we recite this, but it's pretty cool to know that you're taking the oath, that as you're taking this oath, 94 other people all around the United States are doing the exact same thing at the same time. And it may seem awkward to recite the oath out loud when you're alone in a room, but really, if you're taking the oath for yourself, I say do it, make it count. Now, please raise your right hand and recite the oath aloud with me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
Woo! You're VISTA members.
I'm trying not to yell too loud. I don't want to scare anybody, but yay!
So next steps, and these are important, is we need you to sign your oath. Date it today's date, and we also need to have your witness sign it today's date. So make sure you do that. Hand it to your supervisor. They can go sign it after you do. Once you and your witness have signed it, you will need to scan a copy of your oath and submit it to the VISTA Member Support Unit. So you have to make a PDF of the form completed and signed. It can't be a photo of the form. You can't, like, take a picture of you standing and pointing to the oath like, look, I did it. scan the form in your office's scanner so that it can generate a PDF.
Yeah, and on that note, so photos are not accepted. There are scanner apps for your phone that you can use that you're able to use. So you can download. I think the one that I use is called TurboScan. I use it for work all the time, where it does ask you to take a photo of the document, but then it converts it to a PDF, and that is an acceptable format.
Done. Thank you, Calvin, for that suggestion. You can then attach the PDF scanned copy of the oath to an email and send it to the VISTA member support unit. It's step 3 there. You send it to vmsu@cns.gov, and you need to do that by the end of today. So, end of today. Make sure that when you submit it, that you title the subject line as oath, your first and last name, and today's date, which is your first day of service. So it would be Jessica Birch, or oath Jessica Birch, 5/14/18. So make sure you have that. Once again, we're going to do a recap. Duty date is today's date, and that is, duty date is today's date. Then you're going to enter Calvin Landrum as the CNCS official, have a supervisor or other witness sign the section for witness, and then email the oath to vmsu@cns.gov by the end of the day. Remember, oath, your name, today's date. So, Calvin, we are now finished here, but we want to, we're going to get to Q&A here in just a second. But first, we'd like you to take an evaluation. On the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to find a quick poll that you can share your feedback. We change these webinars all the time to meet your needs. So please give us honest feedback. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? Tell us you love us. Tell us what you want, because we really do these for you, and we want to make sure that your needs are being met. So go ahead and do that right-hand side of the screen. And now we're going to get to our Q&A portion. So Calvin, I'm going to have you turn it back over to you.
For sure, yeah. So now it's time for a question and answer. We've got a couple queued up in the Q&A. That's a fun word, phrase to say. But you're also going to be able to ask questions via the phone. So I'll ask our operator to let everyone know how to ask questions via phone. Operator?
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you'd like to ask a question, please press *1, unmute your phone, and record your name clearly. If you need to withdraw your question, press *2. Again, to ask a question, please press *1. It'll take a few moments for the questions to come through. Please stand by.
All right, thank you. And while we're, so again, put those questions in the Q&A. Michael says, is there a schedule of events for the virtual orientation? So Michael, this is the last event that you have scheduled with the VISTA program as a whole. The next phase in your virtual orientation is going to actually be not so virtual, and it's going to be at your project site. It's going to be your OSAT, or your on-site orientation and training. You should get with your supervisor. So this is going to be maybe the next week or the next 2 weeks at your site, where you're learning about your project, you're learning about your community, you're starting to get involved, you're starting to do all those things. So that is the next step in your virtual orientation. Aside from turning in your fingerprints and your oath form, those are the things that we need from you. So I hope that helps answer as their scheduled events. This is the last scheduled event that you have with VISTA. The next things that you have going on will be with your actual project.
And there are those early service courses or coursework that Calvin mentioned. One of those was like the VAD worksheet. Those are all done on your own, so they're self-directed. We do have like little time estimates for how long it should take. So you can definitely do those, but as Calvin mentioned, this is like your last live session for orienting you.
For sure. Hannah Chandler says, can a fellow VISTA that is already sworn in be a witness for our oath? Yeah, a fellow VISTA, if you have someone at your site, they can witness your oath for you.
Just still make sure it's not Canna Handler.
Yeah, Canna Handler for Hannah Chandler.
We did get a question from Richard. He said, when I was working for AmeriCorps State National, I was able to do member development to make up some of the hours necessary to get to my goal. Can I do this with VISTA? two parts to this. So the AmeriCorps VISTA program is not an hours-based program like AmeriCorps State National. So AmeriCorps State National, I think you had to do 1,700, 1,750 hours in order to fulfill your term. AmeriCorps VISTA is a 365-day program, and you should be working full-time. That's around 40 hours a week. So if you do a webinar with us, or you do one of our online courses or other professional development that you work out with your supervisor, you can use that as work time. However, your main working hours should be dedicated to your VISTA work. So you shouldn't be 30 hours out of my week is my course on, grant writing, but only 10 hours are dedicated to my actual VISTA work. You want to have a good balance that you're more focused on your VAD, but you can definitely do professional development during your VISTA service hours.
Yeah, totally. Let's see, Catherine, there's a couple questions rolled into here. So we just addressed the specific time log that you'll be required to keep. You may be by your project, but you are not by VISTA. So ask your supervisor if they're how you're going to track your time and attendance at work. It is probably the same system that they use or other employees of your organization use to keep track of their time. So I've noticed that the minute intro and completed, and I've noticed that I have a minute intro to complete and a community profile. What exactly should I do about these, and where do I submit it? So the community profile is going to be completed with your supervisor. It's a chance for you, it's a companion piece to your OSA, to your on-site orientation and training, to really help you dig deeper into the community and provide you with some guidance on what you should be thinking about and what you should be asking. Minute intro, again, complete that, go over it with your supervisor or with your fellow VISTAs so that you know how to speak about the program, you know how to speak about the things that you're doing. Those don't have to be turned into VISTA, the program.
We had a question here. When will I be able to create my forbearance request? So thank you for that question. So today you got sworn in for service. You're going to turn your oath into the VISTA Member Support Unit, and within a week you're going to be what we consider activated in our system. You're going to be officially in service. All your benefits are going to be active, and at that time you'll have access to create that forbearance request. So in about a week from now you'll have access to do that. Make sure that you selected the educational work, because that's the only way that that request section will pop up. But yeah, in about a week from now you'll have the ability to do a forbearance request.
Let's see, Monica says, if the sponsoring organization and my project site organization is different, do I put the sponsoring organization as a project sponsor? Yeah, go ahead and put the sponsoring organization as the project sponsor. No need to complicate that by saying anymore.
Another question came in and says, what all needs to be disclosed with the fingerprinting kit? Is it just felonies, or would something like a drinking ticket cause a problem? So William, I am a worrywart. So I would always err on the side of caution and say document it. Now, we don't need you to put down like, hey, I got a ticket because I didn't clean up after my dog at the park. But ticket for a DUI or DWI, those need to be there, felonies. It's better just to document what you have, and then if we don't need it or it's not something that raises red flags for us, then you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Always err on the side of caution.
Yeah, that's a good guiding principle. I mean, honestly, it's better to, because like discussed earlier, what's going to happen is they're going to run the FBI background check report, and if something comes up there that hasn't been disclosed either on your application or on the form, we have to follow up with you about it, and it really can be like an onerous and like a really bare of a process to get all the documentation. But if you submit your disclosure form and you say, oh, I got this ticket or I did this, and it doesn't come up on your FBI background check report, we're not coming after you to say, oh, you told us you did this and now we have to talk about it. The issue only arises when you haven't disclosed and something does come up, so it's really best to like err on the better side of just disclose, and we won't do anything with that information if nothing comes up.
And then related to that, there's a question that says, for example, do closed or dismissed charges need to be disclosed on criminal background check forms? So the answer to that is, if it's been dismissed, no. However, it does help us, because what happens is generally, we send the fingerprint kit or the fingerprints out to get checked through the FBI. We then get a whole long disposition of like arrests, of convictions, of what's been dismissed, what's been closed. And so it's extremely helpful for us if we have a disclosure saying, hey, this happened X, Y, and Z, and the case was dismissed. It's easy for us to then to run through that quickly, and you know, if we have other questions, it may already be on that disclosure that you provided instead of us having to contact you. You don't have to because they've been dismissed, but it is a real help for us. And like Calvin said, if you put something that we don't get on your FBI report, we're not going to be like, hey, so tell me more about this thing.
For sure. And now's a good time to see if we have any questions on the phone. Operator?
No, we show no questions at this time.
Okay, cool. All right, so again, please place any questions that you have in the Q&A panel. You can click the Q&A button at the top right and put it in there so we can chat with you. There's nothing coming through in the chat, I believe. I'm not sure if folks are unable to do anything in the chat, but yeah, we'll wait just a couple more minutes and see if we get any other questions. If not, I mean, it's oddly silent, and it sounds like folks got it. I hope everyone, you know, you're ready to turn in the oath. Honestly, I think the oath is very self-explanatory. Just take a look at those instructions at the bottom. If you don't have it in front of you, it'll tell you exactly what to do, like word for word, tell you exactly where to submit it, how to submit it, what to do, and all that good stuff. And then make sure that you put that I, Calvin Landrum, was the person who administered your oath. If you are not at your site today, there's a good chance that today is not your start date. Everyone should be at their site on their first day of service. If for whatever reason there are circumstances preventing that, please shoot me an email offline. You all have my email address. I've sent you a couple emails. It's clandrum@cns.gov. I can be reached there if you have any issues with that. Let's see. Are you seeing any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any other questions either, so I won't belabor this. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. Thank you all so much for your participation today. And again, we want to welcome you to AmeriCorps VISTA, and we wish you so much success throughout your year. I want to leave you with this quote from Lyndon Johnson. On your idealism and on your success rests much of our hope for the final elimination of poverty in our American life. And that is so true of you, VISTA members. Thank you all so much for the service that you are about to do. We appreciate you. We are rooting for you always, and you always have folks on your side throughout your service year. Jessica, do you have any parting words that you'd like to share?
I cannot top what you just said, Calvin, so I will just say congratulations, everyone. And we cannot wait to see what cool things you do.
Yeah, agreed. So thanks, everyone. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, please shoot me an email. Otherwise, we will let you go and enjoy your first day of service.
Thank you all.